I'm sorry to break your heart, but you're not paying for good tequila. You're paying for the celebrity name and a pretty bottle.
Other key thing to know about tequila is that there are tequilas and tequila flavored liquors. This is tequila flavored liquor.
So, the tech black magic that decides what my phone is gonna assault me with seems to think that I'll just love these two chuckleheads. Tequila flavored liquor. Shut the up, idiots. It got me thinking, right? Booze, quality. What actually makes something top quality nowadays? I'm Julian. Welcome to Baratomy. So, what makes one bottle of spirit quote unquote higher or better quality than another? Well, duh. Wait, shit, what is the metric here? Well, quality, as per the lovely people at Oxford University, is the standard of something as measured against other things of a similar kind. The degree of excellence of something. Okay, so that's pretty simple, right? This, say, bourbon, objectively compared against that bourbon, and we'll see who comes out as a winner. Well, why am I questioning what's quality then? For a few reasons. Now, anyone involved with booze in any way has got some sort of opinion on quality. Some of these opinions are downright ridiculous. Take, for example, the guy who went on a 10-minute tirade about how Americans, Aussies, and Kiwis get to make wine. Cool, bro. I mean, you're still gonna buy wine, and I'm gonna let you finish. I still get paid, and you're the one who looks like a bud for brains. And then we've got the professional bias. I've been guilty of it myself. I have said a lot of shit about brands over the years. And hey, if the brand or parent company behaves like a butthole, groovy. But I, like so many others with all sorts of authority, deem their product crap. But with what authority? And therein lies the problem. I'd like to take this opportunity to apologize to Clase Azul. I have said some terrible, terrible, terrible things about your liquid over the years, and I wholeheartedly apologize. I still don't like it though. Soz! For starters, is the simple fact a lot of common quality markers don't really apply to wine and spirits past a certain point. Let me break it down. First up, a little bit of disclosure here. We're definitely not talking about the bottom rungs of objective quality. Forget about questionable attempts at whiskey here and there. And most definitely forget about the hooch your grandpappy Cletus makes up in the barn. I guess if you're one of my Balkan mates, forget about the cognac that all their neighbors seem to be totally legally making. Anyway, moving on. That certain point, pretty much everything is gonna have a quality floor, right? A minimum standard. With pretty much anything F&B, this is gonna be based on food safety standards. And yeah, we all know that stuff slips through the cracks, but that's really neither here nor there. Before they're gonna be able to hit the market labeled as such. Anyone who's gonna argue with these quality floors, sorry, you are objectively an idiot. The idea of tequila flavored liquor. Listen, smarty pants, the Mexican goddamn government says it's tequila. I'm pretty sure they're a scotch more qualified on the subject than you. Maybe just a little. Okay, yeah, cool, groovy. And then a lot of various appellations or product categories, so forth, got various subcategories going on. So let's look at tequila, and probably the most attacked subcategory of spirits out there, mixto tequila. I'm assuming that mixto is what our TikTok professors are talking about. After all, Jose Cuervo is a brand, not a spirit. A lot of us ride the train of, ooh, mixto bad, mixto gross, mixto hangover, mixto evil. A narrative that, it's been pushed on us for ages by companies producing only 100% agave and trying to make sure that's the only thing we buy. That in itself is a huge issue with training in the industry, but that's not what we're here to gas about. So, mixto or not, the Mexican government says it's tequila. I mean, that's as objective as it gets. And you know what? I'm not gonna argue with that since they might sick machete on me. Every mixto out there has got a NOM, same as any 100% agave jazz. Is 100% agave always gonna be better than a mixto? Well, no. And it's a huge ass no. Guess what? The best-selling tequila in 2023 in the town of Tequila, you know the place the stuff is named after? If you guessed a mixto, your ass is right. You do not get a prize. Yeah, the bottom price rungs of the tequila world is full of mixto. Same with, say, scotch and blends versus single malt. Nothing to do with quality. Agave is an expensive, time-consuming, exhausting pain in the rear to even be nearbuy, let alone have to depend on. And come on, let's face it, that 49% of sugar is not derived from agave. Well, I'm not speaking from personal experience, but I'm fairly sure ain't nobody trying to extract fermentable sugar from concentrated cat piss just to save a buck. Well, actually, when we consider that Kopi Luwak and vagina beer exist, who knows? Prove me wrong. Or right. I don't know. Anyways, Mexican government is hanging around enforcing a bare minimum quality standard, and especially when it comes to our more premium mixtos, which I'm starting to think are way more fun than 100% agave tequila, what's happening with those other sugars is some really primo shit. The exact same thing goes for production methods. I'm gonna stick with tequila here. It's trending and the appellation makes my life easy. Sue me. Enter Bacardi fucking lawsuit. The latest thing that a lot of people use to paint a tequila with the scarlet M? Autoclaves. Shut up. Ben John. Okay, I get it. The idea that something's gonna be cheaper and more efficient takes away a lot of the romance of whatever product. Cool, cool. And we've pretty much got the fact that an autoclave's added efficiency comes at the expense of flavor potency and complexity. Thing is, that is what a lot of drinkers like, but more on that later. But does that make it objectively worse quality? No. What is the quantifiable metric here? All it's doing is satisfying a different need. Quantifiable metrics. I love something with a number attached to it. Numbers are comfortable. No space for conjecture or opinion, right? Look at, say, for example, the world of tech. I do all my work on a Lenovo laptop. It's powered by an Intel i7. That's too many numbers. I can pull up exact numbers, core count, clock speed, a bunch of objective numbers I just don't understand, and compare them to the competition. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Where are our numbers with liquor? There's no 0 to 60 with whiskey. There's no core count with champagne. No government standard safety rating with rum. Someone might harp on about an aged spirit being this old versus that old, but that's just a method to add a certain flavor. It has zero to do with quality and everything to do with the cost of frickin' real estate. So we turn to reviewers and competitions. They're just as bad. Ye old interwebs is just chocker block full of cats who review everything from saran wrap to supercars. Reviewers are just people after all though. They've got personalities and opinions all their own. They're not robots after all, are they? They've also got their own palates, their own experience, and their own bias. Unless you find a reviewer who's well and truly your long-lost twin, that review doesn't have much of a chance of giving you something besides, well, tasting notes and an opinion. The exact same thing goes for more complete review organizations. I love Wine Advocate and the whole Robert Parker thing, Parker Points, and I've been lucky enough to taste a lot of 100-point wines in my day. Funnily enough, not a single one of them made it into my personal top 10. But why? Well, my palate, my experience, and my perception just doesn't line up with their same quality kind of metric. And that's just fine, as we'll see in a little bit. Okay, but look, Ocho Añejo was crowned the best tequila in the 2023 Ultimate Spirits Challenge. Sounds so much cooler than it is. Around 100 industry experts, blind tasting, and all working on the same scale. That's about as objective as it gets, right? Well, again, these industry experts are just people too. And they A, constantly love disagreeing, and B, are a lot of the time notorious for not being able to keep up with the times. But the more egregious issue with this rating, Ocho are great, and they deserve a lot of praise for tasty, tasty juice. But is this best tequila in the world badge deserved? Well, unfortunately, no, not really. First up, as we just said, or I just said, all those experts have their own bias and preferences, but the bigger issue? Well, there's over 3,000 tequilas per my last count, coming from about 1,600 or so brands made by 130 something distilleries. Our experts didn't taste 3,000 tequila. Trust me, they'd be dead. Want to know how many they did? Have a guess. I'll wait. 154. 5%. Come on. Yeah, it's the highest scorer of the 2023 Ultimate Spirits Challenge. But let's be real. That's one award in a sea of competitions, ratings, and so forth. It can never really be a truly objective metric. But it really drives home the fact that in the liquor industry, once we pass that floor, all we got is opinion. And look, that is perfectly okay, so long as we understand it. And understanding it is something I took damn years to do. For example, another brand I just love to slam, Hendrix. Yeah, okay, it was a bit of a too cool for school thing there, but I hung on for dear life to the whole point that they use essences. Ew, gross. Any good gin will be purely distilled. Ignoring the fact that most essences are made via distillation at some point, where was my evidence to label essences as a marker of bad quality? Well, I'll tell you where it was. Firmly up my ass, along with my opinion and my head at the time. I formed an opinion and I harped on about it like some sort of goddamn activist. It was embarrassing when I look back at it. It all reads that quality, it's subjective in the spirits world. A lot of people bitch about tequila made using autoclaves to cook the agave, citing, like I said, that it lacks flavor and is therefore poor quality. Hey, I get it. I'm not a fan of the autoclave thing either. But I've become mature enough to understand that that's my opinion and my palate. A lot of people, one could even argue a growing majority of people who might drink tequila, like the less complex, sweeter palate. Best derived from an autoclave if anyone short of Jeffy Boy is going to be able to afford the stuff. Palates change, trends change, fads change. Deal with it. The perception in much of the world that vodka has to be flavorless and odorless to be any good is rightfully changing. We've long ago left behind the idea that a good gin has to be juniper forward, although that's led to some questionable decisions since. Anyway, bad cuts of meat are now being appreciated again. There goes my cheap pork belly. But aren't they bad quality? Well, a point or two geniuses land on is that when you buy, say, a Casamigos, a Terramana, a Clase Azul, whatevs, you're just paying for, quote, a name and a pretty bottle. Cool. So fucking what? How many supercars out there are actually driven by race car drivers? Ever hear about just how uncomfortable some of those goddamn cars are? Back to tech. Look at what gamers spend all their money on.
$500.
All that light doesn't make them better gamers. And don't even get me started on fashion. People like to pay for the bottle, the show, the prestige, And I think about half the bartenders I know display an empty Clase Azul or Ace of Spades bottle somewhere at home. Bartenders are who you should always go to for tips on interior design. A great example, this dude. And the whole level of ridiculousness that he spawned. Yeah, he made objectively stupid business decisions, but whenever he happens to be at a venue, people will fall over themselves trying to throw the GDP of a small country at his ass, just to contaminate their food with his arm hair and to wake up the next day and see sparkles in the toilet bowl. I might not get it, but people are spending the money. I might think it's the height of stupidity, but here's the thing. I can't argue with the revenue. So that begs a question. Is style becoming part of the substance? I think so. If a fancy bottle or sparkly wrap is gonna make a person feel better about owning, drinking, whatever that spirit, wine, car, than one without the looks, well, in their eyes, that's a better quality product, no? Yeah, they might never drive the car over 120K per hour, or they'll never be a pro gamer. And they might never actually sip that cognac neat. Is it such a bad thing? They, or well, somebody, paid for it. They can do whatever with it. There's a huge reason that packaging design, branding, and marketing play such a huge role in so many industries that as we as consumers, we want all that stuff. We like fancy ass bottles and big ass gift boxes around our spirits. We like really cool label design that someone's actually bothered to try and keep relevant to today's market. Looking at you, old world wine and scotch industries, wake up! The exact same thing goes for the whole argument of, you just like it because it's popular. Well, that's important to people. And for lack of quantifiable performance numbers, I think that actually makes up a huge amount of what makes a spirit quality. And there are all sorts of other factors that have no influence on the liquid itself that'll affect how much a product satisfies certain people. Is it sustainable? Is the bottle a pain in the ass to pour from? Woodford. Does the company support its local community? Is the company connected with weapons manufacturers and sketchy governments? Not Supreme. Absolutely none of those factors contradict the definition of quality from Oxford. So there it is. Stop trashing Clase Azul. George Clooney and Kendall Jenner are not worse than Satan. And let's all get off our goddamn horses that we don't have any business being on. Drink what you like and don't trash people for what they like. And for the love of everything holy, don't start trash talking a product unless you got a leg to stand on. You just look like the kind of fool who says shit like tequila flavored liquor. Anyway, so I can go scrub that phrase from my brain. That's gonna do it for me today. Thank you so much for joining me. Make sure to like and subscribe so we can continue to make content. And definitely check out our courses for one of many ways that you can increase your skills in the hospitality industry. Thanks again, and I'll catch you in the next one.